Earth shut its doors, defying the Galactic Empire, yet they still broke through Part 5. The galaxy came to watch Earth die. At least that's what Commander Thelvox assumed when the first alien ships appeared. Jump signatures bloomed across his sensors like flowers in spring, each one representing a species that had heard the beacon's call and come to see what happened. Within 3 hours, over 200 ships from 40 different civilizations had arrived at Earth's solar system. They didn't attack. They didn't help. They simply held position and observed, their sensors recording everything. "What are they doing?" Thelvox demanded. "Watching, sir," his aide replied nervously. "We're receiving communications from multiple species. They're demanding we cease hostilities pending investigation of war crimes." "War crimes?" Thelvox's voice was cold. "We're enforcing galactic law. Earth refused to join the Dominion peacefully. Sir, they have footage, millions of hours showing our attacks on civilian targets, the destruction of evacuation ships, the bombardment of cities. The humans recorded everything and just broadcast it to the entire galaxy." Thelvox felt ice form in his chest. In 2 months of siege, his fleet had killed millions. Necessary casualties in his mind, unfortunate but unavoidable in war. But to the watching galaxy, especially species who feared the Dominion themselves, it would look like butchery. "This changes nothing," he said, though he didn't believe it. "We proceed with the assault. Once Earth falls, the galaxy will forget. Sir, multiple species are sending delegations. They want to mediate, tell them to leave or be fired upon. This is Dominion business." But even as he gave the order, Thelvox knew it was empty. Fire on neutral observers? That would turn the entire galaxy against the Dominion. His empire was powerful, but not powerful enough to fight everyone at once. On Earth, in the underground command center, Doyen watched the alien ships arrive with cautious hope. Dozens of species he'd studied for 3 centuries but never contacted. The Tavar, insectoid traders famous for their neutrality. The Hundal, massive beings who valued honor above profit. The Riken, small and peaceful but with surprising military strength. And more. So many more. "They're here," Hyejin said, standing beside him. "But will they help or just watch us die? I don't know. But at least we're not dying alone in the dark anymore." Doyun straightened his jacket, which was torn and dirty like everything else after 2 months of war, but he wore it with dignity. "Open a channel. All frequencies. Let me talk to them." The transmission went out. Doyen's tired face broadcast to 200 alien ships and to what remained of Earth itself. He spoke simply, without grand speeches or desperate pleading. "My name is Doyen. I lead Earth's government. 300 years ago, we chose isolation because we weren't ready to join the galaxy. We needed time to heal our world, unite our people, and prepare for what we might face out here in the dark. The Dominion came and told us our isolation was illegal, that we must submit or be destroyed. We chose to stand and fight for our right to decide our own future. We're not asking for salvation. We're asking for witnesses. Let the galaxy see what the Dominion does to species who won't kneel." The transmission ended. Silence followed. Then responses came flooding in. Not all friendly. Some species agreed with the Dominion that Earth should have joined peacefully. Others saw opportunity in humanity's struggle. But enough, just enough, saw the truth in Doyen's words. The Taver spoke first, their clicking translation coming through clear. "We propose immediate ceasefire for diplomatic negotiations. The Dominion has made claims. Earth has made claims. Let evidence be examined by neutral parties." Other voices joined. The tide was turning. Not toward Earth necessarily, but away from blind acceptance of Dominion authority. On the lunar facility, Taehyun was dying. The beacon's activation had burned through his body's energy reserves and damaged something fundamental in his cells. He knew he had days at most. Soman stayed by his side, holding his hand while watching monitors showing the arriving alien fleets. "Did we win?" he asked weakly. "I don't know yet, Father, but we changed the game. That counts for something. Take care of the beacon. Study it, there's more we don't understand. That final pulse right before shutdown, did you see the readings? Yes, it wasn't just broadcasting. It was receiving. Something out there answered, Father. Something far away." Taehyun's eyes widened despite his exhaustion. "Show me." Someone pulled up the data. Buried in the beacon's final moments of operation was a response signal, not from any of the species now arriving at Earth. This came from somewhere else, somewhere distant beyond known space, and the message it carried was simple but terrifying. They will return. You cannot stop what is coming. But together we might delay it. What does it mean? Salmon whispered. I don't know, but whoever sent it knows about the precursors, knows what they left behind, and thinks something is coming back. Taehyun gripped his daughter's hand tight. Promise me you'll investigate this. After the war, after everything settles, find out what's coming. I promise, Father. He smiled and closed his eyes. Good. Now let an old man rest. In the hangar bay, Jiwoo prepared for what might be his final flight. The Dominion hadn't stopped their assault despite the watching aliens. Orbital bombardment continued, defensive platforms fell one by one, and Earth's few remaining warships fought desperately to hold the line. You don't have to go, Minji told him, checking his fighter's systems one last time. Your squadron already flew 3 sorties today. You're exhausted, so is everyone else. Besides, I made a promise to Quan and Nari and all the others we lost. I'd keep fighting until Earth was safe. He cupped her face gently. When this is over, we're getting married on a beach somewhere. Somewhere quiet where we can't hear explosions. I'm holding you to that promise. She kissed him hard, pouring all her fear and love and hope into that moment. Come back to me. Always. His squadron launched into chaos. The space around Earth was a nightmare of weapons fire, debris, and dying ships. But something had changed. The neutral observer ships weren't so neutral anymore. Some were positioning themselves between Dominion warships and Earth, not attacking but making their presence a barrier. This is the Tevar vessel Mandresh. A voice came over open channels. The Dominion fleet is ordered to cease hostilities. Failure to comply will be considered an act of aggression against neutral observers. This is the Hundal warship Pride's Edge. We stand with the Tevar. Stop this slaughter. More voices joined. Not all the observers, but enough. Species who had seen the footage of civilian massacres and decided they couldn't just watch anymore. Commander Thelvox faced an impossible situation. If he ordered his fleet to fire on neutral ships, the Dominion would face war with dozens of species simultaneously. But if he retreated, Earth would survive and his career would be over. He made the only choice that made sense. All ships cease bombardment. Hold positions. Await new orders from Dominion High Command. On Earth, sirens that had wailed for 2 months suddenly went silent. People emerged from shelters, looking up at the sky where alien ships held position but no longer fired. Was it over? Had they survived? In the command center, Doyen allowed himself to breathe. Not a victory, not yet, but not extinction either, a chance. That's all they'd fought for, really. A chance to survive and decide their own future. Send a message to all the observer species, he told Hyejin. Thank them for their intervention. Offer to share all our documentation of the war. Invite delegations to Earth for negotiations. Sir, you're opening the door. Really opening it this time. We opened it when we activated the beacon. Now we walk through it with our heads held high. Not as conquered subjects, but as equals who proved we deserve a seat at the table. Over the following days, diplomats arrived from across the galaxy. Earth's first contact with alien species happened not in peace but in the aftermath of war. Delegations toured the bombed cities, spoke with survivors, examined evidence of Dominion war crimes. The Dominion tried to argue their case, but the footage from the ghost satellites was damning. Evacuation ships destroyed, hospitals bombed, civilian centers targeted deliberately. The galaxy watched and judged, and the judgment went against the Empire. Commander Thelvox was recalled to Dominion space in disgrace. As he left, he sent one final transmission to Earth. You won today, humans. Enjoy your survival. But remember, the Dominion does not forget. We will return. Jiwoo, watching from his fighter as the Dominion fleet withdrew, replied on an open channel. We'll be ready. We've already beaten you once. Next time will be easier. It was bravado, but the galaxy heard it. Earth, the small isolated world, had defied the greatest empire and survived. That story would spread to every corner of known space. 3 months later, Earth's first open spaceport was completed in orbit. Ships from dozens of species docked there, bringing trade, technology, and opportunities. Hyejin became Earth's first galactic ambassador, negotiating treaties and alliances with the skill she'd once used for war planning. Doyen stepped down as chairman, his purpose fulfilled. He spent his final years writing a history of the war, making sure future generations understood what had been sacrificed. Taehyun died peacefully 2 weeks after the war ended, his daughter at his side. His final words were about the mysterious signal from deep space. Earth shut its doors, defying the Galactic Empire, yet they still broke through Part 4. 2 months of war had aged everyone. Doyen looked at himself in the mirror of his quarters and barely recognized the man staring back. His hair had gone completely white. Lines cut deep into his face. He'd lost weight, forgetting to eat during the endless crisis meetings that dominated his days. The numbers haunted him. Millions dead on Mars when the Dominion overran the evacuation camps. Europa colony destroyed completely when the defensive platforms failed. 43 Earth warships lost. Thousands of pilots who would never come home. But Earth itself still stood. Bloodied, burning in places from orbital strikes that broke through the defensive grid. But standing. Defiant. "Sir, the Council is demanding we negotiate surrender," his aide told him during the morning briefing. "They're saying the cost is too high, that we should accept Dominion terms before there's nothing left to save. What do you think?" Doyen asked. The aide hesitated. He was young, barely 30, and had joined the government thinking he'd spend his life managing peaceful diplomacy. Instead, he'd watched the world burn. "I think my brother died defending Mars. I think surrender means his death meant nothing." Doyen nodded. That was the trap, wasn't it? They'd spent so much blood that stopping now would make it all meaningless. But spending more might leave them with nothing at all. In the asteroid belt, Jiwoo had become something he never wanted to be. A hero, a legend, the pilot who had single-handedly destroyed a Dominion carrier using nothing but skill and one of Minji's experimental weapons. The footage spread across Earth, showing his fighter dancing through enemy fire before delivering the killing blow. People called him humanity's champion. They put his face on recruitment posters. Children drew pictures of his fighter in schools that still stood. He hated it. "You don't understand," he told Minji one night as they sat together in the hangar bay. "I'm not special. I'm just lucky I haven't died yet. Every time I go out there, I watch friends burn. Yesterday I saw Kwan's fighter cut in half by a particle beam. He was screaming on the comm and then just silence. How am I the hero when I couldn't save him?" Minji reached for his hand. They'd grown closer during the war, finding comfort in each other during the brief hours between battles. She understood his pain. She felt it too every time her weapons failed. Every time the enemy adapted to her designs faster than she could create new ones. "You're alive because you're good at what you do," she said quietly, "and being good means others survive too. Your squadron has the lowest casualty rate of any unit. That's not luck, Jiwoo, that's skill. Skill in your weapons. The singularity torpedo you designed saved my life 8 times now. Then we're even. You keep flying, I'll keep building. Together we'll make it through this," he wanted to believe her. But the war statistics told a different story. Earth was losing. Slowly, painfully, but losing. The Dominion fleet had grown to 1,800 ships. They'd adapted to every trick, every strategy, every weapon humanity deployed. Now they pressed forward with overwhelming force. At the Lunar Research Facility, Taehyun and his daughter Somin worked on what might be Earth's last hope. The precursor beacon sat on a workbench, ancient technology that neither fully understood. It had taken them weeks to activate it partially, and even now it remained unstable. "If we activate this fully, there's no predicting what happens," Somin warned her father. "The energy readings are off scale. It could attract help, or it could paint a giant target on Earth for every hostile species in the galaxy." "We're already a target," Taehyun replied, adjusting calibrations with shaking hands. He hadn't slept in 3 days. Coffee and stimulants kept him functional, but couldn't stop his mind from feeling like it was wrapped in fog. "The question is whether we die alone or risk dying with others watching." "There's another option," Soman said carefully. "We could use the beacon as a weapon. If we overload it, the energy release could destroy the Dominion fleet. But it would also destroy everything in the solar system, including Earth." Taehyun stopped working. "That's genocide. Our own genocide. It's an option. One Chairman Doyen should know about." "No." Taehyun's voice was firm. "We don't win by destroying ourselves." "What would be the point?" "We'd prove the Dominion right that we weren't worth saving." But the thought stayed with him. A weapon that could end everything. The ultimate deterrent. He didn't tell Doyen. Not yet. In the defense headquarters, Hyejin faced a different crisis. The Dominion had changed tactics. Instead of trying to conquer Earth quickly, they were now implementing a siege. Their fleet surrounded the planet, cutting off supply routes, destroying any ship that tried to leave or enter, slowly starving Earth into submission. Food reserves will last 6 months at current rationing, she reported to Doyen. Power generation is stable, but we've lost 3 fusion plants to orbital bombardment. Medical supplies are critically low, and morale is breaking. People are scared, sir. They see the alien ships in the sky every night and wonder if tomorrow is the day the bombs fall. Show me the precursor tech analysis, Doyen said instead of responding. Hyejin pulled up the files Jiwoo's raid had captured. This is interesting. The device they used to break the threshold net, it came from a planet called Vuran 4. Ancient ruins, dead civilization. The Dominion has been raiding precursor sites across the galaxy for centuries, stealing technology they don't understand. And now we have one of those technologies. The beacon. Yes, but sir, activating it is risky. Everything is risky now. We've lost Mars, Europa, half our fleet, millions of lives. We're fighting the most powerful empire in the galaxy with stones and slings. Risk is all we have left. Then there's something else you should know. Hyejin hesitated, choosing her words carefully. Minji discovered something about the ghost satellites. They weren't just weapons. What do you mean? Every satellite has been recording everything. Every battle, every war crime, every civilian target the Dominion destroyed. We have proof of everything they've done to us. High-resolution footage from millions of perspectives. Understanding dawned on Doyen's face. We haven't just been fighting. We've been documenting. Exactly. If we activate the beacon and the galaxy responds, we won't just be calling for help. We'll be showing them exactly what the Dominion is. Not the civilized empire they pretend to be, but the brutal conquerors they really are. For the first time in weeks, Doyen smiled. Hyejin, you're brilliant. I learned from the best, sir. That night, Jiwoo proposed to Minji in the hangar bay between mission briefings. It wasn't romantic. They sat on the floor surrounded by tools and spare parts, exhausted and dirty and scared. But when he asked if she'd marry him after the war, if there was an after, she said yes without hesitation. I'm not proposing because I think we'll die, he explained. I'm proposing because I need something to live for. Something beyond the next battle. I know, she said, holding his hand tight. I feel the same. This war has taken so much. Let it give us something back. They kissed there in the hangar, and for a moment the war didn't exist. Just 2 people finding hope in darkness. Commander Thelvox prepared for the final assault from his flagship. 2 months of siege had weakened Earth's defenses considerably. His analysts reported that one massive coordinated strike would break through, allowing ground forces to secure the planet. Begin bombardment, he ordered. Target all defensive platforms, military installations, and power generation facilities. Once those are destroyed, we land troops and end this. Sir, his aide interrupted. We're detecting unusual energy readings from Earth's moon. Something is powering up. Thelvox checked the sensors. Massive energy spike. Precursor-level technology. The humans had something they hadn't revealed yet. Another surprise, all ships combat alert. Prepare for the beacon activated. Light exploded from the lunar facility. Not light that could be seen, but light that existed in dimensions beyond normal space. It rippled outward through the galaxy at speeds faster than thought, touching every inhabited system, every species, every world. A pulse that said something important is happening. Look here. See this. And attached to that pulse, riding the energy wave like a message in a bottle, came the recordings. Millions of hours of footage showing the war, showing Earth's defiance, showing the Dominion's brutality. Truth transmitted across 10,000 light-years in an instant. On Earth, Taehyun collapsed as the beacon drained all power from the facility. Soman caught him before he hit the floor. Did it work? He gasped. Yes, Soman said, tears streaming down her face. The signal went out. Now we wait to see who answers. In orbit, Thelvox stared at his sensors in shock. Jump signatures. Hundreds of them. Ships emerging from faster-than-light travel all around the solar system. Not Dominion ships, others, species from across the galaxy drawn by the beacon's call. Earth had opened its door. But not in surrender. In invitation. The galaxy had arrived to witness what happened next. Earth shut its doors, defying the Galactic Empire. Yet they still broke through. Part 3. The threshold net collapsed on day 19, exactly when Taehyun predicted it would. The quantum barrier that had hidden Earth for 3 centuries flickered once, twice, then vanished like morning fog under sunlight. For the first time in generations, Earth's solar system became visible to the galaxy. Commander Thelvox watched from his command ship as the barrier fell. Around him, 1,200 warships of the Dominion fleet powered their weapons and began advancing. Their formation was perfect, practiced through countless conquests. They moved like a tightening fist, closing around Earth's planets with methodical precision. "Send message to all ships," Thelvox ordered. "Standard occupation protocol. Destroy military targets, preserve civilian infrastructure. Earth will make a useful addition to the Dominion once they understand resistance is futile." His aide hesitated. "Sir, our scouts reported unusual defensive deployments. The humans have positioned their forces strangely." "Strangely how?" "They've scattered throughout the system rather than concentrating around Earth. It's tactically unsound. They should be defending their homeworld." Thelvox studied the tactical display. His aide was right. Earth's 80 warships were spread thin, hiding behind asteroids in the rings of Saturn near the ice fields beyond Neptune. It made no sense unless... "It's a trap," he said quietly. "They're planning something. All ships to battle stations. Advance with caution." But by then it was already too late. Throughout the solar system, millions of objects that had been floating dormant suddenly activated. They were small, barely larger than a human fist, and there were so many of them they looked like dust clouds on sensors. Ghost satellites, Minji called them. Each one an autonomous weapon with basic intelligence and one purpose: hunt and kill. The Dominion fleet entered the solar system like kings entering their new domain. The ghost satellites fell on them like locusts. On Mars, Minji watched her creation come to life through command screens. Each satellite recognized Dominion energy signatures and attacked independently, coordinating with others nearby through quantum links. They were too small for standard weapons to target effectively, too numerous to destroy completely, and too smart to be tricked. "Activation successful," she reported to Hyejin. "All 7 million units responding. Enemy fleet is taking casualties." "How many?" Hyejin asked. 20 ships destroyed in the first wave, 50 more damaged." "It's working." Hyejin allowed herself a tight smile. Earth had spent 6 months preparing for this moment. Now the Dominion was learning that breaking down the door was the easy part. Getting through it alive would be much harder. In orbit near Saturn, Jiwoo waited with his reformed squadron. They had new pilots to replace the ones lost at Jupiter. Younger pilots with fear in their eyes but steady hands on the controls. He'd trained them hard for 2 weeks, preparing them for what came next. "Ghost Squadron, this is command. Execute Operation Closed Door. Authorization Alpha 9. Jiwoo grinned inside his helmet. "You heard them. Time to make these bastards bleed." Operation Closed Door was Hyejin's masterpiece. Instead of defending Earth directly, humanity's warships would attack like guerrillas. Hit and run. Strike from shadows. Never stay still, never fight fair, never give the Dominion a clean battle. Make every meter they advanced cost blood. Jiwoo's squadron launched from their hiding spot in Saturn's rings. They accelerated toward a group of Dominion cruisers that were trying to clear the ghost satellites. The alien ships were distracted, focused on the swarms of tiny weapons. They never saw the Earth fighters coming. "Target locked," Jiwoo said calmly. "Fire." 12 fighters fired simultaneously. Not missiles, not bullets. Something new. Singularity torpedoes, Minji called them. Each one contained a microscopic artificial black hole held in a magnetic bottle. On impact, the bottle shattered, and the black hole expanded for exactly 0.7 seconds before collapsing. Just long enough to tear through shields and hull like they weren't there. The first Dominion cruiser folded inward, imploding as the singularity consumed its core. The second managed to raise shields, but it didn't matter. The black hole didn't care about shields. It ate matter itself. The cruiser died screaming distorted radio signals across all frequencies. "Splash 2, Jiwoo reported. "Breaking contact. Ghost Squadron, scatter pattern Delta." The fighters split apart and vanished into the chaos of battle. By the time the Dominion ships locked onto their positions, they were already gone. That was the key to survival. Hit hard, disappear fast, never let them pin you down. Across the solar system, 80 Earth warships executed the same strategy. They appeared from hiding spots, struck at vulnerable targets, then vanished before the Dominion could respond. It was a strategy born from 3 centuries of studying galactic warfare and learning from every species that had fought the Dominion. The difference was simple. Those species had tried to fight the way the Dominion expected. Earth refused to play by those rules. On his command ship, Thelvox watched his fleet take casualties and felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: doubt. His ships were superior in every way. better weapons, stronger shields, more advanced technology. But the humans weren't fighting ship to ship. They were fighting like parasites, like insects, attacking from everywhere and nowhere. Casualties? He demanded. 200 ships destroyed, sir. 300 more damaged. We've only advanced halfway to Earth and already lost nearly half our effective combat strength. 200 ships, more than the Dominion had lost in the last 500 years of conquest. Against a species that should have been primitive, isolated, and weak. What about the human homeworld? Can we bypass their scattered forces and strike Earth directly? Negative, sir. The path to Earth is seeded with mines, defensive platforms, and weapons we don't fully understand yet. Any direct assault would cost us half the remaining fleet. Thelvox made his decision. Send a priority transmission to Dominion High Command. Request immediate reinforcements. Tell them Earth is a greater threat than assessed. It hurt his pride to ask for help, but pride meant nothing if the alternative was defeat. Meanwhile, Jiwoo found himself celebrating survival for the third time that day. His squadron had struck 5 times, destroyed 4 Dominion ships, and every single pilot had made it back alive. They gathered in the hangar bay of a hidden asteroid base, exhausted but exhilarated. Did you see that carrier fold in half? One of the young pilots laughed. The singularity just ate it. I saw, Jiwoo said, pulling off his helmet. His hair was soaked with sweat. But don't get cocky. We got lucky today. They're learning our patterns. Next time will be harder. Someone handed him water and he drank deeply. Across the hangar, he spotted Minji checking one of the fighters, her small hands working on a panel with practiced efficiency. She'd been awake for 30 hours straight, maintaining the weapon systems that kept them alive. He walked over. Your torpedoes are incredible. That's the 5th kill I owe to your engineering. Minji looked up, surprised he was talking to her. Most pilots didn't bother learning the engineers' names. Just doing my job. You're the one flying them into battle. We make a good team then. He smiled at her and she felt her face warm. When this is over, maybe we can celebrate properly. When this is over, I'm sleeping for a week, she replied. But she was smiling too. The moment was interrupted by alarms. Commander's voice over the intercom. All units, return to stations. Enemy reinforcements detected. 800 ships entering the solar system. Repeat, 800 new hostile contacts. Jiwoo's smile vanished. 800 more, plus whatever remained of the original fleet. The Dominion had brought nearly everything they had. On Earth, Doyen received the same report. The command center fell silent as everyone processed what it meant. 1,800 warships total, against Earth's remaining 74 operational ships and however many ghost satellites survived. We can't win this, someone said quietly. We hurt them, but there's too many. Doyen stood at the tactical display, hands behind his back, face calm despite the storm in his mind. He'd known this might happen. Known the Dominion wouldn't accept defeat easily. That's why he'd prepared a final card to play. Taehyun, he said into his communicator, is the precursor beacon ready? Silence for a moment. Then Taehyun's tired voice. Yes, sir. But we still don't fully understand what it does. We know it broadcasts across the galaxy, but to who? And what will they do when they hear it? Only one way to find out. And right now I'll take unknown help over certain death. Sir, Heijin interrupted. We intercept something. Intelligence data from the Dominion flagship. Jiwoo's last raid stole their communication logs before they destroyed the ship. And they contain invasion plans. Not just for Earth for the next 100 years. Every species the Dominion plans to conquer. Every world they intend to subjugate. If we could share this with the galaxy, Doyen understood immediately. They'd found leverage. The Dominion's own plans would turn the galaxy against them. But first they needed someone to share it with. Prepare the beacon, he ordered. We're opening the door, but this time on our terms. Outside, the Dominion fleet gathered for its final assault. Inside, humanity prepared to make the biggest gamble in their history. Earth shut its doors, defying the Galactic Empire, yet they still broke through part. 6 months passed like a held breath. The Dominion fleet surrounded Earth's solar system in a perfect sphere, 1,200 warships holding position like predators circling prey. They did not attack immediately. They studied. They scanned. They searched for weakness. Inside the research facility on Earth's moon, Taehyun had not slept properly in weeks. His eyes burned as he stared at the holographic display showing the threshold net's integrity. The quantum barrier still held, still kept Earth invisible and unreachable, but something was wrong. The readings fluctuated in ways they never had before. "They're testing it," his daughter Soman said, bringing him coffee he wouldn't drink. She was 26 and brilliant, already following in his footsteps as a quantum physicist. "Every few hours they send a different energy pulse against the net. They're learning how it works." "I know," Taehyun muttered, zooming in on a section near Jupiter. "And they're getting better at it. Look here." This pulse came within 0.3% of matching our quantum frequency. "If they match it exactly, the net collapses in that sector," Soman finished. "How long do we have?" Taehyun finally looked at his daughter. "Not long enough." On Earth in the defense headquarters, Hyejin watched the same data with growing concern. She had spent 6 months preparing for war, organizing supply lines, training new pilots, and overseeing the production of weapon systems that existed only in classified files. Now those weapons were real, deployed throughout the solar system, waiting. "Commander Thelvox is a genius," she told Doyen during their morning briefing. "We've been studying the Dominion's past conquests. He commanded the fleet that broke the Tarvan resistance. Took him 3 months. The Tarvan had natural mental shields and could see the future. He still won. How?" Doyen asked. "Patience. He didn't rush. He studied them until he found their weakness, then exploited it perfectly. That's what he's doing to us now. Then we don't give him time to finish studying." Doyen turned to the tactical display showing their defense fleet positions. "What about the new pilots? Are they ready?" "As ready as they'll ever be. Jiwoo's squadron has the highest simulation scores. The new stealth fighters perform beyond expectations. But sir, in a straight fight we lose. You know that. We were never planning a straight fight." The alarm started 3 days later at 0400 hours Geneva time. Taehyun jerked awake in his lab chair as red lights flooded the facility. His screen showed catastrophic readings. The threshold net was failing. "No, no, no," he whispered, fingers flying across controls. The net's integrity dropped from 98% to 86% in seconds. A section near Jupiter was collapsing. "Salman, get in here." His daughter ran into the lab, still pulling on her uniform. Together they watched humanity's greatest defense crumble. On screen, the Dominion fleet had deployed something new. A massive ring-shaped device floated between their ships, pulsing with energy that looked old. Ancient, wrong somehow. "What is that?" Salman breathed. "I don't know, but it's using quantum harmonics I've never seen before. It's not Dominion technology. It's older." Taehyun's hands trembled as he worked. "This is precursor tech." The legends were real. The precursors were ghost stories in galactic history. A civilization so advanced, they had simply vanished millions of years ago, leaving behind fragments of technology nobody understood. The Dominion had found a piece, and they were using it to tear down Earth's walls. "Can you compensate?" Soman asked desperately. "I can try." But even as Taehyun rerouted power and adjusted frequencies, he knew it was temporary. The net buckled under the assault. Cracks formed in the invisible barrier. In orbit around Jupiter, Lieutenant Jiwoo sat in his fighter's cockpit watching sensors go crazy. His squadron of 12 stealth fighters held position near Ganymede, waiting for orders. They came fast. "All units, this is command. The net is failing in your sector. Dominion scouts are coming through. Intercept and destroy. Authorization code Alpha 7. Weapons free." Jiwoo's heart hammered. 6 months of waiting ended now. "You heard them, Ghost Squadron. Let's show these aliens why they should have stayed home." The fighters launched, accelerating hard into the dark.
Jiwoo loved flying.
Loved the freedom of space, the perfect silence, the way his fighter responded to his thoughts through the neural interface. He'd trained his whole life for this moment. Then the Dominion scouts came through the breach in the net. They were smaller than the warships, but still massive. Each one 3 times the size of Jiwoo's fighter. Their hulls gleamed silver, covered in symbols that hurt to look at. Energy weapons powered up, glowing blue-white in the darkness. "Engage!" Jiwoo shouted. The battle lasted 7 minutes. It felt like hours. Jiwoo's squadron attacked from stealth, missiles launching before the scouts even knew they were there. 2 alien ships exploded, atmosphere venting into space, but the others adapted fast. Their sensors locked onto the Earth fighters. Return fire filled the space with energy beams. Jiwoo twisted his fighter through a spiral, evading by centimeters. His wingmate wasn't as lucky. The beam caught her fighter dead center. No explosion, no fire in space. Just sudden silence where her voice had been on the comm. "Nari's gone." Someone screamed, "Stay focused," Jiwoo ordered, but his voice cracked. He fired again, railguns tearing into a scout's shields. They held. The alien ships were too strong, too advanced. Another Earth fighter died, then another. All units retreat, command ordered. Fall back to the Jupiter platforms, Jiwoo wanted to argue but knew better. He led what remained of his squadron away from the fight. They started with 12 fighters. 7 returned. The Dominion scouts didn't pursue. They held position in the breach, scanning everything, learning about Earth's defenses. More ships would follow soon. In a different part of the solar system, inside a secret facility on Mars, engineer Minji worked on salvation. She was 26, small and quiet, with hands that could build anything given enough time and resources. For 6 months, she had been perfecting weapons based on principles the galaxy had never seen. Echo mines are ready for deployment, she reported to Hyojin via secure channel. They're activated by ship vibrations and return the exact energy signature used against them. The more powerful the enemy ship, the more powerful the mine's response. You're telling me they blow themselves up? Hyojin asked. Essentially, yes, but only if they use active scanning or weapons near the mines. If they drift through passively, nothing happens. That's brilliant. Deploy them around the breach points. Let's give the Dominion a surprise. Minji allowed herself a small smile. She had been working on theoretical weapon systems since graduating from university. Now her theories would face reality. She uploaded the deployment codes and watched drones carry thousands of tiny mines toward Jupiter's orbit. 2 hours later, a squadron of Dominion scouts entered the breach, sensors active and sweeping for threats. The echo mines detected the scans, calculated, reflected. The scouts exploded simultaneously. Victims of their own sensor arrays turned into weapons against them. 12 ships destroyed in seconds. On the Dominion command ship, Commander Thelvox watched the destruction with interest rather than anger. He was tall for his species, with ridged bone plates along his skull and eyes that saw in spectrums humans couldn't imagine. He had conquered 47 worlds in his career. Earth would be 48. Interesting, he said calmly. They're using reflective technology. Clever, make a note. Passive sensors only near the breach points. And inform Fleet Command we need reinforcements. These humans are more dangerous than anticipated. His aide bowed. How long until we breach the net completely? Thelvox studied the barrier readings. 3 weeks. Perhaps less. They're trying to compensate, but it won't matter. We have precursor technology. They have clever tricks. The outcome is inevitable. On Earth, Doyen received the casualty reports from Jupiter. 5 pilots dead, 7 injured, 12 scouts destroyed, but the breach was growing. Taehyun estimated 19 days until total net collapse. We hurt them today, Hyojin said, trying to find hope. Minji's minds worked perfectly. We hurt them, Doyun agreed. But they learned from it. That's how they win. They learn and adapt until nothing works against them anymore. Then we keep surprising them. We have 18 more days to be unpredictable. Doyen nodded and sent out new orders. The evacuation of Mars and Europa began that night. Millions of colonists boarding transport ships, leaving their homes behind. It broke his heart to give the order, but keeping them there would be murder. In his quarters, Jiwoo sat alone, thinking about the pilots he'd lost. Nari had been his friend since training. She had laughed 2 hours before she died, joking about what Earth beer she'd drink after the battle. Now she was gone, atomized by alien weapons in the dark. He made a promise to her memory. The Dominion would pay for every life they took. Earth would make them regret coming here. The breach grew wider each day. The war was just beginning. Earth shut its doors, defying the Galactic Empire, yet they still broke through part. The message arrived on a cold morning in Geneva. Every screen across Earth flickered simultaneously, interrupted by a face that was not human. The alien had gray skin stretched tight over sharp bones, eyes like pools of black water, and a mouth that barely moved when it spoke. Its voice came through translated mechanical and cold. People of Earth, I am Ambassador Velnath of the Galactic Dominion. Your isolation ends today. You have 30 cycles to open your borders and submit to Dominion authority. Refuse and your species will be eliminated. This is not a negotiation. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Silence filled the command center beneath the Swiss mountains where Chairman Doyen stood watching. He was 63 years old with gray hair cut short and hands that never shook even now. Around him, defense analysts stared at their screens in shock. 300 years of peace, of hiding behind the threshold net, had made many forget why they hid in the first place. Sir, they found us. someone whispered. Doyen nodded slowly. They were always going to find us. The question was never if, but when. He turned to the woman beside him. Hyejin, status of the net? Defense Coordinator Hyejin was younger, 42, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She checked her tablet, fingers moving fast across the screen, holding at maximum strength. No breaches detected. But sir, if they found a way to send that message through the net, they might know how to break it. Then we make it stronger. Doyen's voice cut through the rising panic in the room. Call an emergency council meeting. Get me Taehyun from the Quantum Research Facility, and somebody find out how big their fleet is. 2 hours later, the Unified Council assembled in the same underground chamber. Holographic displays showed the solar system's edge where deep space sensors had finally spotted them. Ships. Hundreds of ships holding position just outside the threshold net's boundary. They had appeared without warning, materializing from faster-than-light jumps like ghosts becoming solid. Taehyun entered the chamber looking exhausted. The quantum physicist was 51 but looked older, with gray streaking through his black hair and dark circles under his eyes. He had spent half his life building and maintaining the threshold net, the invisible shield that made Earth's entire solar system vanish from the galaxy's sight. It was humanity's greatest achievement and their only real protection. How many ships? Doyen asked him directly. 1,200, Taehyun replied, his voice hoarse. 1,200 warships, Chairman. We've been analyzing their energy signatures. Each one could level a city in minutes. Together they could crack a planet. The council members shifted in their seats. Someone coughed nervously. Doyen remained standing, hands behind his back, posture straight. Can they break through the net? Taehyun hesitated. That hesitation told Doyen everything he needed to know. The net was designed to hide us, not to withstand a direct military assault. If they have the right technology, the right knowledge of quantum barriers, yes, given enough time, they could breach it. How much time? Months, maybe weeks if they're better than I think they are. Doyen looked around the chamber at the representatives from Earth's unified government. After the climate wars of the 22nd century, humanity had finally learned to work together. One government, one purpose, one species united. It had taken disaster to achieve it, but they had survived. Now they faced a new test. I propose we reject their ultimatum, Doyen said calmly. We strengthen the net, prepare our defenses, and show the Dominion that Earth does not kneel. That's suicide, Council Member Brecht from the European sector argued. We've studied the Dominion through our long-range observations. They control 10,000 worlds. They've never lost a war. We need to negotiate, find middle ground. There is no middle ground with an empire. Hyejin cut in sharply. They don't want negotiation. They want submission. You heard the ambassador. This isn't a conversation. Then what do you suggest? We fight 1,200 warships with our defense fleet of 80 ships? Our technology is 3 centuries behind the galactic standard because we've been hiding. Our technology is different, Taehyun said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. We've been watching the galaxy for 300 years. We've studied every species, every war, every tactic through passive sensors. We know how they fight, and we've prepared. Prepared how? Brecht demanded. Taehyun glanced at Doyen, who nodded permission to continue. The threshold net wasn't our only project. When we chose isolation, we chose it with purpose. We knew someday someone would come knocking. So we built contingencies, weapons, defenses, technologies the galaxy hasn't seen because they've never needed them. You're talking about theoretical weapons, Brecht said, untested in real combat. Everything is theoretical until the first time it's used, Hyejin replied. I've seen the designs. I've run the simulations. We won't win through superior firepower, but we don't need to. We just need to make victory cost more than they're willing to pay. The debate continued for 6 hours. In the end, the vote was close but clear. Earth would reject the ultimatum. They would not open their doors to the Dominion. That evening, Doyen stood in the observation deck of the defense headquarters. Below, the lights of Geneva sparkled in the darkness. Somewhere up there, beyond the sky and the planets and the edge of the solar system, an alien armada waited for Earth's answer. Sir? A young voice said behind him. Doyen turned to see a pilot, 28 years old with confident eyes in the flight suit of Earth's Aerospace Corps. Lieutenant Jiwoo reporting. They told me you wanted to see the squadron leaders. I wanted to see the people who'll be defending us when they break through. Doyen corrected. Tell me, Lieutenant, are you ready to fight an empire? Jiwoo grinned, though his hands were tense at his sides. My great-grandfather fought in the climate wars. My grandfather helped build the first Mars colony. My mother was a test pilot for the stealth fighters. My family doesn't know how to quit, sir. So yes, I'm ready. Good. Because in a few days I'm going to send them our answer. And when I do, everything changes. That night, Earth's response transmitted through the Threshold Net's communication channel. No words, no speeches, just a simple signal that every species in the galaxy would understand. Refusal. The door remained closed. The Dominion's response came swift and terrible. Their fleet began moving forward, weapons powering up, ready to tear down the walls humanity had built. The war for Earth's freedom had begun.